Hey guys, welcome back to the TohirT channel. TohirT is here. I hope you had a fantastic week. Are you a multi-talented person? I excel at everything kind of person, the person who always knows the answer? Or are you the kind of person who's still figuring things out, stumbles through things, and yet to really find their place? I'd argue that the majority of the population across the entire world is in the latter bucket. We all still working through our paces. It's hard. Figuring out what you want to do, what you're really good at is hard. But I think that throughout all the research that you will do, you will find that there's no silver bullet, but there's one approach that I always found super valuable. The disciplined execution or the ship it mentality. And I think it's very useful whether you are in a white collar job, whether you're in a blue collar job, whether you're digging ditches versus building spreadsheets, or if you're an artist or a doctor and you're trying to really hone your skills. You doubt that? You want to learn more? Well, let's do this.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
I enjoy self-development topics and I love talking about different things that can help both professionals, artists, as well as people in all sorts of backgrounds learn and become better. So, if you're interested in this kind of topics, check out this playlist or the card at the end of the video. Well, this particular topic about the relentless execution, the disciplined execution, some people call it grind, was really stemming out of my conversation with my wife on a couple of occasions, as well as the recent podcast that I've listened to while preparing for the prior video about Joe Rogan. You see, I will not call myself super talented. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room or the most talented one, but I do know that I'm one of those people who will never stop trying to improve. I will always keep pushing, and I think that general disciplined execution approach is the closest that you can call the secret to my success. Whether it is my prior roles, whether all the projects that I've worked on in past, whether it's my current role and different things that I take on, I don't have any like a secret sauce, some secret playbook that I always use. Or I guess this again, you would call it a secret playbook, because at the end of the day, all I really do is that I find the path. Whether it's right or wrong path, it doesn't matter. I find a single path that I think will lead me there. And I just keep coming back and executing on it every day, day in and day out, day in and day out. And I always open to learning new things. I was learning to improving the way I do it, changing small things here and there, readjusting the course, and again, doing it in and out, doing the work every single day until I figure out what's the next step is. And I switch to the tracks and I again do the same thing. So it's the same approach, same attitude, just different projects, different kind of business, whether it's a YouTube channel or the day-to-day full-time job that I'm in right now. And I think people really forget and they overthink that whole concept of the grind. They overthink the whole concept of like successful execution. All you really have to do is to be diligent, be really dedicated and disciplined in your execution, and just be open to adjusting your course as you discover new things about the project or yourself.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
One of the first points I want to touch on, and by the way, I've mentioned it in passing in my press segment, so if you missed it, definitely pay attention. I want to draw a distinction between the disciplined execution and just doing the same thing over and over again, especially if you're counting on a different outcome at the end without changing anything before then. I'm pretty sure that's the definition of insanity. What I mean by disciplined execution is having that mentality of coming back to do the work, whether it's good or bad weather, whether you're in a good mood or not so good mood, whether you have all the tools supplied to you or none at all. You're there, you're ready to make that step to improve just a little bit, like incremental change every single day to help those smaller changes add up over time. A lot of people are focused on this feeling of inspiration. They always feel like, hey, if I'm doing something that I'm really passionate about, I should always feel inspired. You don't. You are never every single time inspired in doing things that you really love. Like, I bet people who love food and they get to talk about food or cook food, or like, I don't know, and they have a YouTube channel, they do mukbang challenges, like they hate it at some point. And there's the moment in their day when they wake up and they're like, oh, I don't want to do this again. And you have to work through that. That disciplined execution is when you cross that hump and you actually execute and do the work on the day when you feel the worst. For those of us who have the second passion project at home, but then they have to go every morning and do a different kind of job to keep the food on the table and the roof above their head, well, you have to translate that willingness to work through the toughest moments in your passion project and bring them to your day-to-day, because that day-to-day is what supports you and helps you keep the lights on, so to speak, while you're getting that business up from the ground. And then there is an alternative view when you look at this less exciting, for example, Foot Locker job to begin with, that came up in Joe Rogan's podcast with Kevin Hart, in their latest podcast that I happened to listen to, and I thought that was a great point to bring up here.
It's important to have those jobs that suck, man. They like cement your foundation. If you can get through that, like that's this rigid structure of discipline that allows you to apply that discipline to things you love. If you can apply discipline and learn how to apply it to something that sucks and get free, have a game plan and get free. Once you get free, you have that ability to get up and do things that suck. Guess what? You're going to get up and do things you love easier.
Even more.
And you're going to remember construction sites and delivering newspapers.
I love this take, especially because I never thought about it that way, but also because this is actually what I've been preaching in a little bit of a different form to a lot of people I work with, or to the people who work for me. At the end of the day, you don't have to love that day-to-day job, especially if, say, you want to build up your music career and you want to do something completely different. Like, you don't have to love that day-to-day job, but it keeps the lights on. You have to be focused on. And the best way to think about it is that the disciplined execution, when it's not your passion project, keeping that smile on your face when you're washing the dishes, means that when you get to work on your passion project, no one will be able to wipe that grin off your face, because you will enjoy it and you'll appreciate it that much more. And you'll be able to work through the toughest in the passion project when you can be disciplined in your execution through the toughest moments in your day-to-day job.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
Now, I can give you this amazing inspirational speeches, at least I think they're inspirational, all day long, yet they do not reflect the reality that the going will get tough from time to time. You will have to figure out your way through even the tougher situations, because, let's face it, a lot of the days we're excited to do the work, we're excited to accomplish things, but the other days we wake up and it's like, the body's aching, the weather is not the same, the moon is in retrograde, that couch feels very comfortable, and that remote control is almost like that lightsaber flying over to you if you're using the force powers. Yes, I've been watching a lot of the Star Wars for the last couple of weekends, so pardon this metaphor, but you do get into those moments when I think you can really force yourself. Instead of doing anything else, you can just force yourself and try to stumble through whatever the project you're working on. Well, maybe, and from time to time, it's much better for you to really take a day off. I believe that you don't have to push 7 days a week. 5 days a week of really working hard are worth it when you give yourself time back on those weekends and you just enjoy something completely different and you switch your mind into a different motion. Look at Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Look at this guy. His body is essentially part of his brand. He knows it. He really invests in it. He spends all the time in his homemade gym. He brings it with him all over the place. But when it's time for the cheat day, look at that. Yes, this is the actual footage. Just follow him on Instagram. Go check it out. This is actually how this man eats on his cheat days. Like, he eats like a family of 5 at the all-inclusive resort at the dinner. Like, it's crazy that this amount of food can be consumed by a single person, but I guess that's what it requires sometimes to release those valves, release some of that steam. And I'm pretty confident that in some of those days when it's really the toughest throughout the week, when he has to push for yet another rep on that bench press machine, the thought of those cookies and that sushi and the fact that he's going to get to enjoy it on his cheat day, that amount of food, really gets him through those tough moments. I can relate to that even from the professional standpoint. Don't have to be sports or anything like that. In this video before, I spoke about how I really try to fill in every gap, every free time in my day with some useful information. Whether it's while I'm driving, I'm listening to the podcast and audiobooks, I'm listening to, I don't know, maybe some educational materials, I watch some interesting videos from time to time, just trying to really fill in my brain with information. Well, sometimes it really gets tough to receive all that information because your brain needs that time to just process everything. And for those days, what I do, I just either switch on some stand-up comedy that can be always fun to de-stress and completely switch your brain into a different mode. I watch some of the David Dobrik. I can just kick back, enjoy, and release the valves.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
The final point that helps me underline this disciplined execution approach is the reason why the athletes become elite champions. The artists hone their skill, the business professionals build those great companies. When you're disciplined in your execution and you come to do the work every day and you aim for those small incremental improvements, what happens is that you raise your base. You raise the base of your skills, the base of your knowledge. You become incrementally better overall every single day. And what happens is that prepares you for the worst and the best situations. In its worst, one of my favorite quotes fully applicable here, when they attribute it to Mike Tyson, but I think there's someone else who actually said it originally, is that everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face. And when you get punched in the face, that's when you fall to your basics. So when you enter this crisis, when you're in this situation where you're not really sure what's going to happen and what you need to do, what will happen to you personally, you will fall back to all your basic skills. And if you've been disciplined in your execution in past, that bar, that lowest bar that you will fall to is much higher than what it used to be. So the outcome of that crisis mode will be better by you just doing nothing else but remaining at that base level. This is the worst. In your best, I have this other favorite quote that I've been using in my past videos, and I think it's worth for us to revisit it again. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That's the fact. I love it. This is the words to live by. And I think that it doesn't matter how that opportunity comes, whether it's by virtue you knowing someone, you being in the right place at the right time, you creating that opportunity in the first place. All that it matters is that you're focused on making sure you're prepared for it. Joe Rogan, in that same podcast that I've mentioned earlier on this video with Kevin Hart, put it very nicely.
I never look at a destination or a thing or something happening. I just keep doing it. I'm one of those weird grinders.
It's not weird.
But
That's a way for you to go.
But I trust the process, but I don't ever look at it like there's a destination, like a success moment, like a big thing hits. I just keep doing it, and those things sort of find their own way through management and agents, and I've put very little thinking into that.
This is exactly how I feel. It's amazing sometimes that you don't think about how to correctly phrase that thought that you have in your head for a while, but then you hear someone say it and you're like, damn it, like this is exactly how it should be done. It's super simple, super clean, I think, in its explanation, but I love how it really resonates with my approach, because at the end of the day, and I've been using a lot the example of this channel, but this channel was not created because I have this grand vision of becoming some personality, the TV star, big YouTuber, make a ton of money. No, the original plan behind this channel was for me to figure out a way to make positive impact, even if it's a couple of people outside in the world, because I just was about to become a father and I wanted to make the world a better place for my kids. And the second thing is that I was in a situation when I realized that I have to increase that base, become better in certain things, and one of them was public speaking and communication. So I decided, hey, 2 and 2 match together. I think it can be cool to do it on the video, and also because I just enjoy making videos. So for me, that was a way to increase my skills and also do something that I enjoy from day to day. So now in this mode, it becomes more of a skill augmentation, and that way for me to push myself a little bit forward and through some of those videos, hopefully to inspire some people to do better things in life. And everything else does not matter. Like, honestly, I do not care how many people at the end of the day watch it. I do check my analytics, but whether it's 1 million people or 100, all that matters is that there's one person per video who watched it and who was like, you know what, I'm gonna change the way I approach my life, and hopefully that put them on a completely different, more positive trajectory through their life. This is exactly why I do this, and this is how I want you to approach your projects. Frequently we put too much expectation behind some of those ideas that we have, and that weight of expectations what drags you down and slows down your progress. So remove that. Just completely refocus. Focus on that disciplined execution in day to day. Just focus on what you need to do today. Make that small improvement. Then focus on the next day. Make that small improvement. Focus on the following day. Make that small improvement. Continuously improve for a few days, then a few weeks, then a few months. And all those great positive things that you maybe somewhere in the back of your mind hope for, they will follow.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
What do you think about this disciplined execution mode? Do you think you're capable of it? Or are there certain barriers that I did not address in this video that can help you really get on that path and continuously improve day in and day out? Share your thoughts and questions in the section below. Fun fact, and also one of the ways to be super transparent about it, it was freaking tough to prepare for this video and write this idea down. Mostly because, okay, in fair point, partially probably because I went to bed at like 3-something a.m. last night watching some sports, because finally there are some sports, hey, go UFC, but partly also because I wasn't just very good about going to bed. I just needed more time to relax and enjoy the evening, and that affected, I think, throughout the day. Plus I wasn't really feeling 100% in it in general today, so all that compounded in the fact that it was hard for me to get myself to come today here in the studio and record. Ironic, I know, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, what I kept coming back to, and part of the reason why I decided to address this topic in this video and change the original idea that I had for a video earlier today, was because you have to stick with it. You really have to stick with it. You really have to be relentless and disciplined in your execution. And it's amazing when you feel inspired. It's amazing when you really do those things, or you have that day in your project where everything clicks and you just boom, 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 done, next one. That's awesome. But what really matters and what really makes a change in you as a professional, as an artist, as an entrepreneur, is when you work through the toughest, when you work through that mud, you wrestle with yourself, you wrestle with that reptile mind that tells you, hey, it's okay to slow down, and you really make it happen on that day, and you make that small incremental improvement. That's what matters, because again, and I'll repeat myself, when you make enough of the small improvements day in and day out over a few weeks and months, the result will be very visible. Just ask this guy. Thank you very much, guys, for stopping by. If you're new to this channel, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and check out the videos in the backlog. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for stopping by. As always, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this video, and I will see you all next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, on this very channel. And for the outro, kudos to SpaceX. That was so awesome to watch them finally launch first couple of guys, first astronauts into space. I think it was like the first time in 9 years that US actually launched anyone from the US land that they are not using Baikonur and one of the other airspace programs, projects, places in Russia. But also was because this is the first time the commercial company did it. SpaceX, Elon Musk, no matter how much crap you give that guy, he delivers when it comes to SpaceX. And number two, the fact that they landed Falcon 9 back on the drone ship in nice and one single piece. I must say, watching those Falcons land, the first time when they did the Falcon Heavy and they landed them, both of them in parallel next to each other, was like a poetry. It was like a ballet. It was the artistic, like brush of artists in emotion. I don't know, I loved it so much. It's like a background screen on all my computers these days, so for me it was especially close moment, and it was fun to also watch my 4-year-old getting excited to see the rocket take off, seeing that Falcon landing, and noticing that, oh, wait a second, now I'm looking, Papa, at our planet through the camera on the Dragon. That was awesome. Great job, Elon. Great job, everyone at SpaceX. Cannot wait to see what they're gonna do next. And for you guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.